Hi everyone, it is the 18th of August of 2023. I was going to say 2023 then, but 2023 makes more sense. And today I'm going to be looking at PlayStation Official Magazine, issue 42 from February of 2011. So this is much newer than what I've been previously looking at. It's been a few days since I did one of these, and the last one I did, the volume was a bit low. I don't know what it was, so I've moved the mic a bit. Hopefully this will be fine. But for the last one, I'd edit it and increase the volume and all that. And I'm hoping I don't have to do that this time. But yeah, with regards to this particular magazine, I'm not too sure if this is a continuation of the official UK PlayStation Magazine or official US PlayStation Magazine or whatever, because this is just called PlayStation Official Magazine or PlayStation Magazine, and it's issue 42. So it would be much higher than that if it was if they kept the issue numbers going, or whether they just ended one of them and started another one. Maybe different folks behind it. I don't know. But either way, this is PlayStation Magazine, issue 42 of February 2011. And this is much newer than the ones I've been doing. Like the latest one I've done before this was 2007. So here we're going to jump a few years ahead to 2011. You've got the PS3, the PSP, and the PS2. So this was during the time period where they really focused on the fact that they had those three systems in play. I remember during E3 they used to dedicate time to each of them, and they'd have like PS3 would have red waves in the background. PSP, unlike the displays, PSP would have yellow, and PS2 would have blue. So that's how they branded it all. But what stands out to me, as you probably noticed, this stands out to me a lot, is the font here. So I think this just gave me some like flashbacks maybe of the particular era of magazines. I didn't really get any, but I'm seeing this font and I'm like, yeah, that's of this era. Anyway, there's some details here that have been cut off by the looks of it, like a barcode or whatever. Oh, Future Publishing. I guess it is the same then. Oh well. Here we have LA Noire and the Game of the Year awards. Let's venture forth and see what we've got. I'm feeling quite thirsty. I've got two drinks. I've got a little bit of roller cola, so like cheap Coke. It's not literally roller cola, but that's what Peter Kay calls it. And I've got my Oasis watery mix. But my Oasis watery mix has been out for a bit, so it's not going to be very nice. But I am feeling the thirst already. Okay, we have Hunted the Demon Forge. We have some Warriors. It's coming spring 2011. Oh look, games for Windows. Look at that. Look at that Windows Vista style logo. Dungeon Crawl for the Gears Age. Look at that A. What a weird A. A co-op cocktail blending hack and slash combat with cover-based shooting. Yeah, so we're going to have a lot of... this is definitely the era of the cover-based shooter and brown FPSs and all that. So my excitement level's going to be a bit lower. Anyway, rating pending. That is until they change their minds one day and give it something different. Oh, and here we have the contents. Yeah, I've definitely seen... I don't know if I had any of these magazines, but this like formatting, I definitely recognise it. But here we have LA Noire on page 40. We have the 2010 games of the year. Shadow of the Damned on 60. Dead Space 2. Little Big Planet 2. Thank you, little one. Things are getting back to normal already. Some wrestling. And some other stuff. Okay. Get real. Perhaps it's time for me to finally embrace reality. With this guy, Gary Steinman, Editor-in-Chief. When Mongols invaded, Gary Steinman made them wait 40 minutes while he ate toffee. Then he pointed to his elbow and the Mongols exploded. This issue is full of good stuff, he promises. And also maybe Mongol parts. Alright then. For much of my adult life, I had a problem with reality. And it sounds like if you're talking about eating toffee and making Mongols explode by pointing at your elbow, then it does sound like you do have a problem with reality. And though my wife would likely be delighted to hear me finally admit what she suspected for so many years, let me quickly clarify. I'm talking, my dear Michelle, about realism in games, not at home. Oh, sure, there's a place for reality, sports games, for example, or war games like the recent Call of Duty releases with their bloody, brutal, unrelenting combat. Perfect examples of reality done right. When it comes to the rest of gaming, however, I've always favoured variety over verisimilitude. Don't think I've heard that word before. I'd gladly take a smaller polygon count if it means more creative approach to world design. I don't care if a protagonist is slightly out of proportion as long as he looks cool. I'd much rather see something I can't find in my everyday life, because that's exactly why I play games, as an engrossing escape to an exciting world. Then came along Heavy Rain and everything changed for me. Oh, here was realism I could get behind because it was in service of something bigger than just copying the world around it. Oh, and then he's gone on to LA Noire. It's like saying, I wasn't about realism, but now I am. That these games are convincing me. As an American, you can take the lead, build the lead, lose the lead. You can lead by example. Committee or default, you can lead with purpose or not at all. As an American and a Marine Corps officer, your lead will impact the future of this nation. Few can be Marines, even fewer can lead them. Can you? Now, is this a game advert or is this literally like a recruitment ad? Let's zoom out. Well, there's a sword there. So, I don't know. What's this up here? I don't know. This... MarineOfficer.com. So this sword makes it look like a game advert. But if it wasn't for that, I would think, is it just like a recruitment ad? I don't know. Anyway, that's the whole page. I was thinking that this was part of the page, but no, that's part of the previous page. Inside Core, episode 33. Core? Do I know what is that? Killzone 3 puts the harm in third time's the charm. Okay. Do I recognise her from somewhere? Veronica Belmont. What a name, Veronica Belmont. If a hell gas pops out from behind a barrel and sees his shadow, that means 6 more weeks of apocalyptic Killzone 3 winter. We dive into this tense, exciting action game to reveal its frosty secrets. Then the inevitable spring thaw draws the boys of summer out of hibernation. Yeah, and then MLB, is that basketball? And then some fighting, like NBA thing. It is weird. Like that's very much an American thing where sports are named after, like, MLB. Is it? Oh, it might be Major League Baseball or basketball. No, NBA is basketball. So MLB is baseball. Then you've got like NFL, NBA. There's just loads of like 3-letter abbreviations for different sports in the US, like different leagues and stuff. So yeah, like NFL, that's hockey, NBA, basketball. I forgot the other ones were. Killzone 3, MLB. Yeah, see, baseball, MLB 11. Fight Night Champion, NBA. Is that one? Upcoming Blu-ray games releases. Faces of Evil. We select some of our favourite bad guys from some of the best games on PS3. Do you love to hate them as much as we do? Core is free to PlayStation Plus subscribers. That might be where I recognise it from. Individual episodes can be purchased for $2. So this is an American magazine then. $2.99. And $13 for the subscription. Right. So I think we, in the UK, we had... There was another one that I used to subscribe to as part of the PS Plus. It was Play Test or something. I can't remember what it was called. I'll have to look it up. But it was something... I think it eventually became the PlayStation Access YouTube channel. I think it was the same group of people. Like, I don't know if it was like Rob Pearson and Holly Bennett and all that, but I think it was like the same company behind it. And I don't just mean Sony. Like the same, I don't know, the same like people behind it in a way. Like maybe, was it like Natum Ditum and there's Dave. I can't remember Dave's surname, but I think they might have been involved. Turn your passion for gaming into a career, game development. So look, you could do courses on game design, and you can have your heads look like this as you stare angrily at each other with controllers. Full Sail University. Man, I graduated from uni. So there's the PlayStation Entertainment Plan. Working Naked Day. What a great way to start February by getting fired. Fill up your life with our monthly guide. The PlayStation Entertainment Plan. Chinese New Year, Groundhog Day. This is so confusing because these are all these things here with like arrows pointing to them. But there's like, it says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So this February 1st is... Oh, that is the Tuesday. Oh, right, okay. So the text box is the actual, like, in the correct position and the images are just accompanying. So I would have thought the pictures should be pointing to the day. I don't know. A weird way to format it. Abe Lincoln's birthday. 10 score and 2 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was born. Because of that, the banks are closed today. Hello, my name is Awesome. Bulletstorm drops. Is that Valentine's Day? Yeah. Some beatdowns. Gary Steinman's birthday. Yeah. He was the guy that defeated all those Mongols by pointing at his elbow. And what is this? Teen. Just like movies, every game has a rating, and those ratings come from the ESRB. Because Jess plays video games, the ESRB, that's the Entertainment Software Rating Board, understand that some games aren't right for everyone. That's just an advert for the ESRB. Desert Heat. Oh yeah, this was the era. Oh, Naughty Dog reveals Uncharted 3. So this is definitely the era of like dark, grungy shooters and all that. And this was the era where it was, like, everything was coming out. I was just like, whatever. Like, I was actively dismissal. Like, these days I sort of just don't pay attention, but back in those days I paid attention and didn't really care. Like in the early 2000s. More Massive, Mr. Manners. Let's read a little bit of this. Oh, so it's a demo. The demo provides an ample demonstration of the game's fire effects, which overwhelm the ruined chateau and produce thick, billowing smoke that sends Drake into coughing fits. Drake's expanding climbing techniques also come to the foray. Foray? Is that how you pronounce that? And at one point he launches onto a chandelier to traverse a particularly intimidating chasm, which slowly and realistically tears from the ceiling with the added weight. It's all part of a move towards more contextual animations and racially interactive environments that help create a more compelling, more realistic experience. Yeah, I've always felt Like, I've always found it annoying, like, when you, like, in Uncharted games, for example, where they'll do something and they'll really, like, overemphasize the animations. So, um, like, they might have Drake, like, fall a bit, just go like, whoa. It's like they've invented that particular animation for that particular thing as, like, a scripted event. And people say, like, oh, it's to make you feel like you're really there. But in my mind, it doesn't. In my mind, that sort of gives the feeling that it's all set dressing. And people would say that about RPGs, like battle animations and stuff. But I wouldn't say so, because battle animations correlate directly to the action that you've done, regardless of the context. Anyway. Oh, back to basics. Oh yeah, I remember this. This was another of my big. What's the word? I don't know. One of my big moments. I basically, because I love Tomb Raider. I love the original Tomb Raiders, on the PS1. And then they released this. They showed, like, footage of this, and it was all like QTEs and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that just makes it look worse. I'm getting bad flashbacks here. Anyway, back to basics. Lara Croft's origin takes centre stage in a grittier Tomb Raider reboot. I mean, there was a bunch of them, like, on the PS1, the PS2 rather, like Legend, there's Angel of Darkness, then Legend, then Underworld. I think Underworld might have been PS3, and then they did the reboot, which is like, it's like the 9th one in the series, I think. And I think I played a bit on the PS Plus version, and I just did not enjoy it. A far cry from the confident, experienced, and battle-hardened heroine we've come to know and love. Yeah, so she's very, like, scared and stuff, like, oh, this is my origin story. She finds herself battling for survival on an island occupied by aggressive natives and limited resources. Due to her rookie status, Lara begins the adventure with a limited skill set, but she's a quick learner. As the campaign unfolds, she'll become stronger and more agile, and thus able to access areas of the island that were previously out of reach. I mean, the game might overall be fine, but one of the things that really got me with it was not just the particular style, but the whole it's that you couldn't invert the y-axis on the camera, I don't think. Either that. No, I think you couldn't invert it at all. But you do get games where it's like any game where it swaps between you, like, just running around in third person to you, like, aiming with, like, a little reticle as you gotta, like, move it around. I struggle because it's like my brain had to switch between two separate modes of control, and I always struggle with it. I managed to do Infamous First Light. I like that game, and I managed to do it not too bad on there, but the only way I could do it was I had to adapt to full camera inversion on third person shooting, because the way I do it is third person exploration, I need full inversion, but third person shooting, or first person shooting, I need Y to be inverted, just Y to be inverted. But I think this Tomb Raider reboot, it was just not inverted the whole time, and I just couldn't do it. It just felt backwards to me. Like, I'm pressing forward and I'm leaning back. It was weird. That's something that people can argue about for days, but I cannot grasp what is called normal camera controls. It just feels backwards to me. Like, people will say, oh, you press up, you should look up. But to me, that feels backwards, not because I think up for up, but because I think, like, up is like, I don't know, it just feels like I should look down. That just feels normal. I can't explain it. Anyway, what is this? This Fun Dead. Ooh, Fun Dead 3. Oh, this is a game I never heard of. But look at that. It's quite dark and gritty, and looks like a shooter. I wouldn't expect something like that from this area. Anything you can get from a mystery box will be better than any purchasable weapon. So keep hitting it until every member of your team has one, if not two high-powered weapons. Yeah, Yeah, this is before loot boxes really kicked off. But look, got some Little Big Planet stuff here. Is this Little Big Planet 2? A crafty must-have collection handpicked for the Little Big Planet fans, full of exclusive collectibles and exclusive digital content featuring beloved Disney brands and some of your very favourite PlayStation franchises that every Little Big Planet fan will treasure. I played a bit of 2. Little Big Planet 1 was one of the first PS3 games I had. It was the first trophy I ever got on PS3 was through Little Big Planet. And I remember I bought, okay, he's taking you back to the past. I bought Little Big Planet from Blockbuster. Didn't rent it, I bought it from Blockbuster. There was a local Blockbuster. Oh, that's interesting. Like, I remember the local Blockbuster. But going down that high street now, I could not tell you at all which shop was the Blockbuster. 11 downloadable costumes. 5 PSN avatars. Available November 16th. So this is like the Big 10 sort of like counting up. 5 have got Bad Dreams. Looks quite dark and gritty and a bit of shooting going on here. Del Toro has long been a proponent of video games like Peter Jackson. He's known to be an avid gamer himself, having expressed a particular fondness of the likes of Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. I had Ico because a friend said it was good, and I got the cardboard box version, and then I sold it. I traded it in, and then years later, it was like worth a lot of money, and I didn't have it. Well, video games are the comic books of our time. Huh? He said at a book reading in Portland, Oregon. Last year, it's a medium that gains no respect among the intelligentsia. That's a word I've heard, but I don't know what it means. They say, oh, video games, and most people that complain about video games have never fucking played them. It says F King, but I just fill in the gaps there. They are an art form, and anyone saying differently is a little out of touch. Like, oh, video games are an art. If we look at the next game here, we can see that they are a nice diverse range of experiences, because what we have here is, and you may not expect it, it's a bit dark and a bit grungy, and I think there's shooting involved. Yeah, Mass Effect 2. But Electronic Arts and BioWare may have upended their own release with the official announcement of Mass Effect 3. And don't worry about a protracted wait for this one. Mass Effect 3 is launching simultaneously across platforms this year. Yeah, because the original was just Xbox, wasn't it? Right, let's see what 7 and 8 are. So these aren't necessarily games by the looks of it. What is this? Oh, be a better gamer with the top tips. Oh, the big stories that people are talking about. So these Big 10 aren't Big 10 big games necessarily. Attention team killers, griefers, profanity spewers, racists, homophobes and tone-deaf mutants who sing over the mic. Nobody likes you, at least not during an online multiplayer game. We're muting you immediately or dropping out of the game to avoid you, and the whole team will suffer as a result. Okay, so the people who spew bigoted things, like, their goal is to get people to drop out of making them, because that makes them feel powerful, like, regardless of what team they're on. See you online, and there's my PSN ID. I bet they got a lot of ads after that they couldn't and didn't want to take. We're not impressed with your 32-3 round when your team loses the domination match. If all you want to do is kill and kill some more, know that there are many, many modes for that. Ever heard of deathmatch? Parents, consider parenting. Use your mic. Anecdotally, it seems like many of you are quiet out there. A great feature of the PS3 is that it doesn't require an expensive proprietary headset. We make a great Bluetooth headset, but nearly any Bluetooth or USB headset will do. And even if you're shy, it never hurts to say thanks for the res. Unless you're part of a marginalised community which can be pinpointed by your voice. In which case, it's not such a great idea. Don't overuse your mic. Heavy breathing, grunting, screaming shrilly, playing loud background music, making rude remarks, or having side conversations while operating your Bluetooth headset during gameplay is strongly discouraged by everyone. Protecting you. If someone is ruining your match, go into Players Met on XMB and add them to your block list. If someone's harassing you via the message system, use the PS3's built-in grief reporting. This ain't The Wire. Snitches are encouraged. We read feedback. Leave good feedback. Okay. So, the 7 big thing that people are talking about is people being mean online. And then we have Sexy 2.0, 5 cool features of Sony's updated Bluetooth headset. Sleeker, slicker. The first party headset status indicates conveniently displays the battery level. In addition, noise cancellation. Can be paired with PS3 via USB connection. Slew of smartphone supporting features. Compatible with the right range. Yeah, it's good. Whatever. And most wanted. Fun fact for this month's top 10 picks are delayed games. So that's number 8. So there's 2 more. Final Fantasy XIV, which has been put on hiatus for PS3 while everything that's wrong with the PC release is fixed. By which we meant everything. Yeah. So these are the most wanted games then, I guess. Alright. Hold on. Oh, number 9 is the reader's most wanted. So of the top 10 big things people are talking about, here we have a bunch of games, right? So got number 1, 2, Tomb Raider there, Fun Dead. We've got Bad Dreams, we've got Shepherd's Last Stand. Or whatever games though. I mean, that's Mass Effect and whatever game that is. I don't know. And then a few later, it's like, oh, the next big thing we're talking about is a bunch of games. The fact that there's a bunch of games people want to hear about. Well, that sort of doesn't really make sense. Anyway, has SSX fallen off a cliff? We've got some disagreement here. Yes, says the ice-cold defender of fun. No, says the chairman of the snowboard. Oh, puns. Never mind the fact that this doesn't look like anything like an SSX game. This just looks bad, period. As dark and gritty as the trailer might try to portray it, snowboarding is still just a sport. It's strange, isn't it, that they'd want to, in an era like this, that they'd want to market something as dark and gritty. I wouldn't have thought it. I want brightly coloured explosions every time I launch off a RAM for 20 seconds of hang time. I want SSX. Surely this series is mostly about big tricks. That probably hasn't changed. Right, so this other guy, this is the guy who killed the Mongols by pointing his elbow and eating toffee. He's going to say something like, I'm not looking at the screen. He's going to say something like, oh, this is serious now. It really brings it back and makes it more mature or something like that. I am a guy who often decries the seriousification of gaming. As a grand old man who's been playing games since the days of the 2600, I miss the bright colours and cartoon graphics of gaming yesterday. I've grown wary of the all ultra-realistic warfare, the grimy settings, the bleak post-apocalyptic worlds that have overrun modern gaming. I want bright colours and big fun, which should mean what you want might think. I want SSX how SSX used to be, and yet I totally love the new trailer. Yes, it's all pushed up with military-esque copter swooping on a mountain and snowboarding to appear to have a lot more at the stake than just winning a never-ending race. But don't be fooled into thinking that This is Snow Ops because from what I saw... I mean, come on. I'm not going to make it, shouts the bounced around broader before plummeting off a cliff. It's not Modern Warfare on the mountainside. Instead, it's the exact kind of over-the-top descent into snowy madness I was hoping for. So not exactly what I was thinking. We have some music things. A must-have app for every guitarist. Optimized for iPad. Texas Playboy Swing. Got Swingin' Bop. Chuck Be Good. Lead Blues. Jazz Sweeping. Chromatic Packing. Practice Mode. Yeah. This would be... And look at the border of this iPad and this iPhone here. This would have been this would have been a few years after Guitar Hero really got popular, I think. Oh, look at this. We've got wrestling. We've got this guy. PS6 brawling. This is no wrestling simulation, but rather an arcade-style brawler. For people who don't play video games, we want to make the game easier to pick up, play, and have fun with, says DeVita. Then, of course, we want to add the depth into the game, where you can feel you can master it by practicing it. Right. Well. Look at the expression. Okay, so you can't see this guy's face, but you can imagine him going like, because he's in a lot of pain. And this guy's just like, well, let's not talk about that. Oh, there's more. Oh, we've got big muscly guys here jumping into each other. Rah, and he's like, nah. And he's like, way. And he's like, food, drink. Crushing Hulkmania, acting. Gigantic motives, Andre the Giant. The Giant would routinely drink 7,000 calories worth of alcohol libations in one day. Only a cave rivals the mask for lending on it an air of mystery and flair, unless you're a mugger. We've got a classic matchup here. We've got Bret Hart, the Hitman, versus The Rock. Bret Hart is a classic grappler. He knows many wrestling holds and can chain his grapple moves together. When his opponent is weakened, he can apply the painful sharpshooter hold, twisting the other guy's legs until he submits. Against The Rock, he'll need to use every trick in his arsenal. And then we have The Rock. The Rock enjoys eating pie, strudel, and beating jabronis. He's more of a brawler than a showman than anything else, and his patented rock bottom elbow is one of wrestling's most iconic moves. Also, smelling what The Rock is cooking is a good thing, but getting in the ring with him is not. When we do something that doesn't feel or look right, we get everybody talking about it. That was basically a Steph Sterling voice of when they do like impressions of executives and all that. Didn't intend that, but that's how it turned out. Looking slightly more rippled, but considerably less moist than usual. Oh. Look at this. Throws. He's like, I wanna hold your hand. Anyway, some more wrestling on the next page. Oh, not quite. Instead, we've got Bulletstorm, which appears to be a quite dark, gritty shooter. Yeah, look, these are big guys in armor with a gun, quite a bit brown. Kick ass, take names, score big. In Bulletstorm, enemies aren't so much a threat as they are an opportunity for some stylish slaughter, and that's exactly why the game's cooperative anarchy mode is so unique. While most horde modes simply pit players against endless waves of increasing tenacious enemies and challenging them to survive as long as possible, anarchy mode can actually be outlived by a competent enough team. though not without a last few second revives along the way. Yeah, this game had a lot of like scores and like over the top animations and stuff. It's an example of one of those games where sometimes it's like, do you want to see enemies as an opportunity or as a threat? And this is the type of game where they try to make enemies appear more of an opportunity, because it's like you need to go out and you need to kill them. It's not like they're not in your way of anything. It's like you need to kill them for a benefit. Cringe and Drang Supremacy MMA. Oh, MMA fighting. So what's NBA? Is that something else completely? I don't know. MMA. It's MMA's fighting. According to Kung Fu Factory CEO and creative director Ricky Rukavina, a simulation really doesn't let you concentrate on the fun. Rukavina is referring to fun inherent in bashing skulls and breaking bones in mostly illegal cage fighting, which Supremacy MMA offers as its main fare. Yeah, and oh, look at this. We go from wrestling. And, was that? Well, that's kickboxing, is that right? MMA fighting. Is that kickboxing? It's like cage fighting. We go from that to Dissidia. We've got Laguna and Van and Tifa all looking fabulous. A little distance can be good for a relationship, you know. Dissidia or 12 Duodecim. That will all happen again. The 12th battle between Chaos and Cosmos will occur in Square Enix's PSP exclusive brawler Dissidia or 12 Duodecim. Final Fantasy Destiny's children return for the follow-up to 2009's smash-up. Joining them is Lightning, Van, Laguna, Tifa, and Kain. I had the first one on PSP. It was okay. Red Faction Armageddon. Oh. Looks quite dark and gritty, doesn't it? And it's got a bit of shooting going on there. We're on the eve of destruction. This place is a expletive deleted. Mars is a crap. What? You cannot say that word. But thanks to the nanoforge technology, it can at least be completely intact. That naughty word again. THQ's forthcoming third-person shooter, Red Faction Armageddon, let its protagonist, Darius Mason, trot around a nanoforge to repair the wreckage of his so-called life. Yeah, do you call this a life? I wouldn't call this a life. Quick pitch. Right, come on, lay it on me. Destroy. If it's standing, can be knocked down, oftentimes in delicious ways. Rebuild. What has been wrecked can be restored to its former glory. Shoot. Darius Mason, who has unleashed an alien horde, needs to clean up the planet with extreme prejudice. Tips to tidy the hellhole. 1. Make way. 2. Enjoy the carnage. 3. Rebuild and repair grenades or a beam. And 4. Wreck and repeat. Now I know how to play this game. Right. Dragon Age 2. Now, there's not shooting going on, but this, of course, this image, it looks unusually dark. While players can choose Hawk's sex and class, BioWare is intentionally limiting customization options to complement a more fleshed-out, story-driven protagonist. Dragon Age 2 is also borrowing some refinements from its sci-fi cousin, Mass Effect. Among these are an easy-to-follow narrative focusing on epic moments over explosion-filled NPC chats, a darker art style more defining than DA's generic Lord of the Rings-like presentation. Thwarting the threat in a visceral manner that felt more hack and slash than RPG, while this more reactive action will please some, those preferring a tactical take can pause the action and battle the plight with brains and brawn. I mean, you just do whatever works best, don't you? I mean, that's the thing. When this is a big criticism I have, where people will say, well, if you want to play one style of game, you can choose this, But if you want to play this other style of game, you can choose this. And it's like, right, well, if you've got the option to pause the action or not pause the action, then surely you will pause the action when you need to pause the action. It's not a case of, I like this versus I like that. You'll just do whatever works out best. It was like in Final Fantasy 15 with wait mode. It was like, I don't know what the point was of them not making that default. Because it was just outright easier. It just outright, it just worked out more. Strange. But we have Killzone 3. Quite dark, a bit of shooting going on. Captured troops seem to prefer killing. Oh, captured troops. Okay, I thought that captured troops is like capture is an adjective, not a verb. Captured troops seem to prefer killing to taking custody, which just makes it more satisfying when we jam out our thumbs in their eye sockets. Well, that's gruesome, isn't it? Our first opportunity for a deep incursion into Killzone 3's enemy territory reveals it's well on track to build on the second game's breakthrough graphics and top-tier FPS gameplay. Well then. The third birthday. Ah, that was Parasite Eve, wasn't it? It was another Parasite Eve game. Aya is one bride we don't recommend stranding at the altar. Look, she's got a gun. It's a bit dark, this, isn't it? A very twisted Christmas. Yeah, so this is oh, mitochondria. That's something to do with blood. 2 years later, Aya saved the world again in a more action-driven Parasite Eve 2. But while that spelled the end of the malevolent organisms, according to Birthday's director Hajime Tabata, Aya's tale is far from over. I don't know how well this game was received. I'm really not sure. Yeah, I mean, this looks a bit better. So, little story. I saw Parasite Eve. I saw it was either 1 or 2 at the childcare centre because someone had it and they brought it over. And they were playing it. And they defeated, like, a boss. And then it went to their experience being calculated. And they said, I don't know how true this was, but they said that you can't skip the experience ticking down. You just had to, or like ticking up or whatever. You just had to like sit and wait for it. And we both just accepted like, all right, okay. So that's how this game is. You wait for it to tick through. Like Parasite Eve, or the novel. Oh, the novel. Okay, and then 1998, there's the game, and then 2000's Parasite Eve 2. And then the third birthday in 2011. The original Parasite Eve also took place during Christmas Eve in New York. But let's not call this a reboot. Aya suffers from amnesia, which is the direct result of the first 2 games. Ah, a main character with amnesia? Anyway. Dungeon Siege 3. This screenshot, is it just me? Apart from this bit up here, it's quite dark, isn't it? Quite dark and gruesome. Tactics Ogre. The well-travelled PC franchise hits our console this spring, complete with a grand adventure and lots of loot. Kill something and our hero might get a new sword. Shake a weapons rack and a new helmet might tumble out. Granted, it's nothing new, but what we've seen from this action RPG is well executed with enough customization options in an all-important loot lust that has us eager to dive into the fray. And look at this. This looks nice. Tactics over. Let us cling together. I've heard this is a good game. It reveals a game that plays much like the original PlayStation Classic, released nearly 2 decades ago. Though that's not to say Square Enix is resting on its laurels. One of the most significant enhancements to the remake enables 2 players to battle each other via ad hoc wireless, While this function wasn't in the original build, the revamped interface added skills and the ability to upgrade our entire party rather than individual members. We're all noteworthy. It looks nice. Dynasty Warriors 7. Ugh, Dynasty Warriors 7. God, I've got some bones to pick with that game. I platinumed Dynasty Warriors 7, and then I was playing Extreme Legends. I've sold it now, but it was a game where every so often I'd keep coming back to it, and like I have trophies in that game spanning over several different years, and it's just not that good. Like, I really like Dynasty Warriors 3, and I really like the Warriors Orochi series, but those games, I mean, Dynasty Warriors 3, it had so little. Dynasty Warriors 7 had so little variety, and I know people say, "Oh, you just mash a button and whatever," but I mean, like, every character could equip every weapon, and all this. Once you've learned like a skill with a character, you've learned it with all the characters, and there wasn't any randomization in any of the weapons. Or any of the items. It was all fixed. So once you got everything, that was it. So whilst the other ones play, well, you can sort of think of it more as like a looting game, like maybe a Diablo or Borderlands or something, where you'd get upgraded. You could potentially get upgraded versions, and you like get new weapons and new characters and all that, and you got to like compare stats and all that. With Dynasty Warrior 7, you just got everything just straight up, and then you just had like a set of stuff that you just used all the time. And it's really One Trick Pony. Is it going to go into details on that? Got Knight Contract here. Not many games star unkillable heroes who beg for the wreaths of death. Even fewer are set during medieval times, just as the bubonic plague is devastating the world. Oh, can't wait to play these. Imagine in the Forsaken Kingdom. Now, I usually mix up these two games quite a lot. Imagine the Forsaken Kingdom and Enslaved Odyssey to the West. I mix them up a lot. Only one I played is Enslaved because I managed to get it for a very cheap price. And I sold it because I did not like it. But I wonder, they're going to continue talking about Dynasty Warriors 7 on the next page? No, they're just saying One Trick Pony. I mean, the thing is, they probably think like, oh, you're just killing a bunch of guys over and over again, just mash one button. Because that's what people say about Dynasty Warriors. So when people say One Trick Pony, I think like, okay, so that's what they think, but they're basing it on this other thing. Whereas in my mind, I'm thinking it's a downgrade from the previous games that I've played, the other games in the series that I've played, because of different issues that I can see and I care about. But a lot of people don't really think that sort of stuff matters, and I think it does. In our early hands-on time, what really stood out was the game's destructible environments. And that's not Red Faction. The other one was Red Faction. Although, granted, it is quite dark and it has got a lot of guns, so I can see the confusion there. Sniper, Ghost Warrior, Swarm. Swarm? Do I recognise that name? Why settle for a single mascot when you can have 50? The Swarm might cooperate. See, that's the whole thing of like, players, 50 characters. But in the 2011 variation. Guiding the self-sacrificing brood through trap-filled levels should make for a fresh take on the traditional platform game formula. We have some racing game here. NASCAR's champ Jimmy Johnson is a gamer and a Mario Kart fan, but driving cartoon karts impacts his track cred. So he's creating his own racer featuring rides that like souped up lawnmowers and powered up bomb casings. Right, so you need to make it look more dark and serious, I guess, to be taken seriously. Monster Apocalypse, I played that. That was pretty good. Stacking is a game that I heard of. Biodomain, yep. Dark shooter. So hold on, Tokyo 2080. Mankind is fighting for survival against a robotic invasion, but it's not just gunplay going on. Humanity is also struggling to retain its humanity, while the robots are becoming more human. It's all a part of the new shooter from Yakuza creator Toshihiro Nagoshi. I seem to remember. I think there was a video of this talking about like how bad the acting was. I think it was Biodomain, or it might have been something else. Uh, yeah, sports. Most of Apocalypse, who knew an earthquake could be so much fun? For the twisted makers of MotorStorm, it's the perfect opportunity to stage an open-class competition with everything from superbikes to muscle cars racing against a backdrop to crumbling buildings, bridges and tunnels. So I played MotorStorm Apocalypse, and I liked it. So the main conceit of the game is it's racing, but the world is ending around you. So sometimes, like on the first lap, you might have to go down a road, and then the second lap, a building will have fallen, so you have to find like another way around or something like that. And mechanically, it's pretty good as well. They've got stuff with like a cooldown meter for your turbocharger and water helping cooling it down. So it's pretty neat. However, the main thing I remember about MotorStorm Apocalypse is it seems to me like the entire game was just one race after another. There wasn't any like mode selection or level selection or car selection. At least from what I remember, it was just you do a race and it's like, all right, here's another race. And there were some collectible cards to collect if you had to find one of the levels, but I was never able to find them. There's like 5 in level. I don't know if I found a single one. I mean, maybe. Oh look, getting ready for Skyrim there. Gut reaction. What's strong and what's wrong? Oh, so these are positives. So Skyrim. Demon Souls. Prototype 2. And Funky Castle. We're still miffed about the choice of Mark Warhol to play Nathan Drake in the upcoming Uncharted film. I might stuck at L.A. Noire because I can't read people correctly, especially women. And insane hubris. Really, Guillermo, announcing a trilogy before you've even proven yourself with one game. Oh, and here we have L.A. Noire. Oh, this is the feature. Another nameless victim, another typical Saturday night in Los Angeles. Behind the bright lights and beyond the sparky thoroughfares, one detective toils away on a mission to cleanse this rotten town, to expunge the fetid stink of decay and corruption. He is Detective Cole Phelps, and this is L.A. Noire. Well, hey, on the next page. Yeah, so it's like you gotta talk to characters and figure out what their intentions are. Despite some triumphs, the power of the narrative video game has always been compromised by the technology behind it. In cinema, it's always been possible to capture the emotional complexity of an actor's performance with even the lowliest camera. The actor's performance speaks for itself. With video games, that's not the case, as the character's emotional sophistication and sincerity has long been filtered to a primitive captures and animation. So yeah, that was the big thing about this game. It was you can now read their facial expressions to know what they're thinking or whatever. So you can choose to whether you doubt them or whether you believe them or whatever. So it's actually like being a detective. Every interrogation is fused with decision points, beats in conversation where the player will choose to express faith, doubt, or sheer mistrust of what the interrogated party is saying, as communicated by their words, intonation, physical behaviour, and facial expressions. And this is where the technology becomes essential. LA becomes live with 25 different shop categories and 650 individual shop windows, all accurate to the time period. Alright. They're just random, like, graphics around the game. No, they don't look anywhere near 100% realistic. Bodies are still clearly made of polygons and texture maps and still plainly visible. But watching the subtle widening and squinting of eyes, pursing of lips and wrinkling of brows on characters' faces brings them to life in a very real way and provides a sort of palette that actors can fill with layers of meaning, moral ambiguity and misdirection. This is, after all, interactive film noir. Yeah. They do motion capture and all that. Things don't always end so neatly. The team is working hard to ensure there's a finely tuned balance between investigation and intense action. So what does the intense action involve? 'Cause I didn't even know there was any. I thought it was just I thought it was just like all this talking and interrogating and stuff. After chasing, there's this car stuff, isn't there? There's stuff in a car. After chasing a perp up the girders of an enormous old movie set, in which the player aims and runs while the game handles the actual jumps across beams and leaps upstairs, we finally corner the subject at the top of the set. Some 5 stories up, some goons out to get him have arrived, and by this point he surrenders. Is this just telling you what happens in the game? Anyway, of the femme fatale. Let's try and put on a sultry voice for this character. I don't know if this character is saying it, but let's put on a voice. Elsa, a German jazz singer with a troubled past. Elsa has connections to both the police and the underworld through the murky jazz clubs of Los Angeles. Oh, Los Angeles. And people say that about my voice in general. Like, oh, you got a sultry voice, and like, oh well. I guess I didn't have to. I guess I could have just talked normally then. From day one, we knew it was going to be a low body count game, and that didn't scare us off. What? Okay, so here they are bragging, saying, "Look, we knew there wasn't going to be a lot of murder in this game, but don't worry, we kept with it. Even the colours were laboriously recreated to reflect post-World War II LA. I mean, look at the variety, look at the colours here. Although, it is a little bit dark, isn't it? Oh, speaking of which, I was going to say this looks even darker, but I think they've actually just put it on grayscale there. The science and art of building the City of Angels. While Rockstar certainly has plenty of experience building visual cities, the process of recreating a sprawling 1940s Los Angeles was no easy feat, in part, of course, because it no longer exists. Okay. Oh, look at this. The games of the year. Look at this word art. 2010. They're doing this in 2010. The scan quality isn't so great here, I don't think. I mean, that's probably contributing to why the games look so dark, but let's not kid ourselves. The games are dark anyway. It begins, as it does every year, with the nominees. This is February, yeah, so it is quite early, isn't it? As if that's not tough enough, we then lock ourselves into a small windowless room with no ventilation and nothing but discarded peach crates to sit on, and we don't leave until we unanimously crown a winner. It's an epic showdown with laughter, tears, and a bit of hair pulling, but it's worth it because these are the PTOM's Game of the Year Awards. PTOM's? PlayStation something official magazine? I don't know what the T stands for. Right. Now, is this God of War 3? Oh, these are nominations. Add extra variables to elevate the experience in brutally delightful ways. Better graphics, more gore, bigger bosses. Heck, the biggest of them all in the now legendary Titan battles. Yeah, so more blood, more sized enemies. I don't know how to talk about that. Like, yes, this game was polarizing in part because it was totally tubular, but Final Fantasy 13 truly is the best Final Fantasy on PS3, and not just because it's the only one. Great combat, lovely characters, and lush graphics Make this a champ. Yeah. I mean, that's probably the only... That's one... There's probably not going to be many games on here I care about at all. But that's definitely one of them. Ooh, dishonourable mentions. The highly conceived Chopper Sick Balls Award. Dead to Rights Retribution. Oh, that was... So why... Oh, okay. The Dear Lord stopped beating this dead horse because smoke is coming out of the Cops Award. Tony Hawk's Shred. That was the one where they had the bar that you actually used. And then this... Yeah, the scans make it look darker than it is, but... I mean, these are dark games. The first-person shooter genre, except maybe Nathan's hot dog eating contest, or perhaps soon the Korean Peninsula. Considering the level of competition, then it's shock and awe, inspiring that Call of Duty Black Ops clearly dominates the battlefield. There's no reinventing of the APC wheel here, just a consistent refining and sharpening of the fighting machine until it slices the proverbial razor's edge. Right, then we have... So these different awards. So, okay. So, the Best Final Fantasy on PS3 award. Even the bizarre voice acting can't hold this back award. The Best God of War clone award. The Hair apparent award. So these are just words. They didn't like decide on these categories beforehand, I don't think. They just sort of wanted to talk about them. And so came up with categories to call them. But yeah, these scans, I mean... They really do darken it up. The Press X Award for excellence in the field of pressing the X button, Yakuza 3. And today's the day the teddy bears have their crappy picnic award, Naughty Bear. Yeah, so again there. So, oh jeez, what was Naughty Bear? I remember seeing the box cover. I think the appeal was just like, oh, this is weird, but I don't actually know what it was. Was it like a third-person shooter? Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. You have Bioshock 2 and Red Dead Redemption. The Brainiest Game Award got Sly. Game of the Year 2002. The Dynasty Warriors Award for meritorious service in the field of dynastic warfare. Rock Band 3, Super Street Fighter 4, Game of the Year 2002. The games themselves may be old, but the brand new HD graphics are gorgeous and the content remains as charming as ever. Anthropomorphic animals, light-hearted noir themes, grand larceny, pretty much everything I want in a game. If only the Sly Cooper collection had come out sooner. Man, I played those games. I played 1, Platinum did, and played 2. Wasn't too bothered about it. Dead Rising 2 sees the magicians stabbing one another, a lawman committing impromptu hangings, and a chef deep frying his own face, and that doesn't even hint at the violence that can be levelled on the zombies. For violence above and beyond the call of good taste, Dead Rising 2 is honoured as the brainiest game. I've not played much of Dead Rising, but I do like what I have played. So Dead Rising is a sort of game where it's like, I wouldn't normally play it, but I quite like it. Same with I ended up really liking the later Far Cry games and the Borderlands games. It's like I don't really like shooters, but yeah. Anyway, PS3 Game of the Year goes to God of War 3. Runners-up Red Dead Redemption, Heavy Rain, and Black Ops. For its ambition alone, it's a worthy choice. The fact that they pulled off this innovative and intense adventure makes it more admirable. I completed Heavy Rain and I got the bad ending. I did really badly at it. We're in the middle of a grueling final push to complete God of War 3. And during Christmas, I brought the game home to play through the latest build. I knew we had a lot of work left, but this was ridiculous. I knew we had a lot of work left, but this is ridiculous. So many bugs, so many missing parts, and so much left to polish. I still believe this game could be incredible. Yeah, and then it turned out you really liked it. And here's Kratos stabbing a Cyclops. And more Kratos. doing Kratosy things. Anyway, there's the Mongol Destroyer, the toffee-eating Mongol Destroyer, holding and giving away a gold trophy. Oh, PSP Game of the Year, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Got Valkyria Chronicles 2, Invisimals, God of War. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker took everything great about the Metal Gear games and put it into our palms. The palms of our hand. Toss in a Pokemon-like recruitment feature, an off-battlefield development system with its depth of sports management, same top-notch multiplayer and co-op missions, and it's the clear winner. Yeah, I think there was a Metal Gear Solid game with some menuing stuff going on, and I was like, oh, interesting. PSN Game of the Year. Yeah, so the funny thing, the thing about this era was that this era of games, they made a very clear distinction between games that you bought on disc and games that you bought on the store, and on like the online store. And games on the online store were usually, not always, but dedicated to like smaller indie games. And today they're more sort of like meshed together because people don't buy physical as much, and more of the indie games do have physical releases. So there's a very clear like distinction between the two. Anyway, Costume Quest represents the very best of what we want from a download-only release. We can hardly wait for the Double Fine's next creative venture. I think I played Costume Quest, but I don't really remember much of it. Oh, Joe Danger, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Pac-Man Champion Edition DX. I might have played all of those, but Joe Danger, I might have played that a bit. Didn't they go on to make No Man's Sky? Is that the same team? Shadows be damned. Before his booze-fueled death by misadventure, rock singer Ben Scott, frontman for AC/DC, told tales of the highway to hell. He also noticed, if this is hell, then you can say it's heavenly. Hell ain't a bad place to be. Hell in the third-person shooter Shadows of the Damned is awful. I was checking, is that really the name of the game, Shadows of the Damned? I do kind of remember that name. Oh, Nintendo, were you mentioning that in a PlayStation magazine? But yeah. Right, oh, is this still Shadow of the Damned? Hey, brother, welcome to hell. Da 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 da. The hell in Damned is close to a place someone might live. Suda says it has its own rules and ecology. The demons that exist in hell are living in a hierarchy, and unlike Dante's version of hell, this version of hell is very close to the real world. Yeah, very much. Oh, look at that. There's a gun involved. It's very much. I know there's a thing where it's like a modern trope. It's more of a modern trope where it's like, you know, oh, hell, you think of hell and you think of like, oh, fire and demons and everything. But as it turns out, hell is actually a lot more like Earth. When you think about it. And so we're going to depict hell as like normal mundane things, but things are actually bad. Like, oh, Earth is actually hell. With such a mix of creative genius, is there any reason to worry about the game's version might be compromised? No, everyone's focus is aligned. It's hard to put into words, but you can easily feel that everyone is on the same track. There's a collective synergy between Miyazaki, Yamaoka, and myself. Okay then, there's that game. Oh, and there's more of it. See? Oh, well, I said it was more like Earth, but look. You don't look too earthly. Demons are like men. They all try to get inside the prettiest girl. Okay. Johnson is at once yappy, ally, tool, and tour guide. It transforms into a torch and 3 stylish demonic weapons. Its machine gun analog is the Tether, a rapid fire killer assaulting walls with demon teeth. It has a shotgun type weapon in the born firing department. Borner. In the born firing Borner. Right, okay then. And the launcher monocutioner shoots skulls, collecting gems. Hell does have beautiful things. It seems spewed from the executed demons allowed hotspur to boost the weapon's potency and enhance attributes, such as rate of fire. You know what? Oh, more shooting. So, 1 second. Tell you what I'm going to do. 1 second. I'm going to get... Hear this? Let me rattling a little thing. I have some smints here. Some peppermint smints. Leave that on the side. So, I have peppermint smints. I've got my spearmint polos under my desk, but I've got some peppermint smints because I use them when I go to work because I'm talking a lot. So it allows me to keep going. I never thought, oh yeah, I should use them for when I'm doing this as well. Hellish. The Simpsons. Oh, so these are just referencing hell. Hold on. From biblical times to distant future, 4 of P2. What does T mean? PTOM. P something official magazine. I don't know what the T stands for. No, I don't know. Here are versions of hell. So, biblical hell, just the hell in the Bible. Alright then. The Divine Comedy, Dante's, whatever that word is. Alright. The Simpsons, of course. That would be the Simpsons hell where Homer is force-fed donut, and Futurama hell. Oh, well, there's robot hell. That's their favourite versions of hell. Just because they had to mention, it's like, oh, here's something kind of not really relevant, but we have to pretend it is. 5 steps to a fitter you. Okay, then. I have some praise for this PS move. Let's have a look at this first. A new year, new me. That was my resolution, and this time I'm sticking with it. After purging my fridge of holiday leftovers and clearing out some space in my living room, I picked up 5 PS3 fitness titles to help me make good on my promise. What allows here is my exercise adventure from dancing to tennis. Use it as a guide to getting back into shape, or perhaps as a cautionary tale. First thing I'd like to comment on. It's weird how everything up until this point has been dark and grungy and clearly very like masculine oriented, and then here we have like a very feminine, like light-hearted and feminine, like, yeah, I'm gonna get my summer body. It's very strange that they would be put side by side in the same magazine just because they happen to coincide with the fact that it's on PlayStation. But I have a story to tell. So hold on. Zumba Fitness. Let's have a look. Get Fit with Mel B. Sports Champion. Aha. Okay. When I get to the Sports Champion page, I'll tell you my story. There's Dance Dance Revolution and EA Sports Active 2. Okay. Right. So here it is. Quad of War. Custom workout where I can pick my own exercises, you say? That sounds great. That was me pre-sports active too. Running in place, mime jumping, roping, squats and lunges are cruel mistresses who taught me that perhaps I should stick with my proper spouse. Laziness. So 30 minutes intense strength and cardio for EA Sports Active 2. We have Coggle, also we have Get Fit with Mel B. Look at this. Scary spice indeed. Crunches and press-ups and squats. Oh my, I was already sore from EA Active 2 and then I had to listen to Mel B squawking at me with her scolding me to keep up with her. Slowly but surely I began to lag, and although she didn't say anything, I knew she was thinking about how pathetic I was. So, this is also 30 minutes hard strength and cardio. So intense, I'm guessing intense is harder than hard. What do we have up here? So there's, Just Dance Revolution. I figured it'd be a decent warm-up if I upped the difficulty level. Unfortunately, on high difficulties, I lost the ability to control my limbs and suddenly booed off the pad. Still, a little Lady Gaga is nice to ease into a workout routine. I've got my head and my heart on the dance floor. Club Board, on the other hand, builds a random playlist of songs with varying difficulties, which proved to be better than the single song I played in preparation for my hellish descent into sport active misery. Oh. And then was Zumba Fitness. I always knew I was going to be a ballerina when I grew up, because ballerinas don't fall over while standing still. However, I was hoping at least be able to mimic some beginner dance moves. I was wrong. What the woman was doing on the screen was dancing. What I was doing was something completely different. So that's 20 minutes medium cardio, and this is 3 minutes easy cardio, and here is a Sports Champions 50 minutes easy strength. Right. Well, not much of a workout on its own. Sports Champions was good for stamina. I mixed gladiator duels and archery and got a bit of a stretch in my arms. I actually found archery to be more strenuous than dueling. I felt a sore spot on my back and my shoulder for the next day that I just knew came from holding my arms out at unusual angles. Neck gains. I tried out the table tennis and volleyball to see if they would fit into my workout. I gave up on table tennis incredibly quickly because I'm a sore loser and was offended by my opponent's victory dance, but I managed to make a volleyball a decent workout by running around my living room and jumping and diving for the ball. My furniture did not appreciate this. Okay, so my story is Sports Champions 1 and 2. So I think people underestimate the PS Move. And I think when it comes to motion controls, the thing about motion controls is I think people really oversell them, especially like in the past where, Peter Molyneux with Kinect and all that. And that's just ridiculous. Motion controls have very, very limited scope. There's not much you can do with them, but the best times that you can have with them are the games by which the actions are closer related to the action that you're doing. So, for example, swinging your arm around to play tennis is better use of motion control than making a pattern in the air to cast a spell. It just is. No question about it. And so, Sports Champions 1 and 2, I got them in 2013. It was either 2012 or no, because 2012 I got my newer PS3 because my old one was on its way out. I got a new PS3 and I got it in a bundle with a Move, and then I got Sports Champions 1 and 2, and I played a lot of archery. I played a lot of there was the table tennis in the first one, then tennis in the second one. Did I play much of the other ones? I didn't really play much of the other ones, I don't think. But the challenges did get really hard, like over time. And what was, although there were other things going on in my life as well, so I was eating healthier in general, so it wasn't just this, but I got really, for a while, I got really fit. Like compared to what I was, I lost so much weight. I lost maybe like a stone, or like between 1 and 2 stone. I lost a lot of weight, and so for a moment in 2013, I was really fit. Like compared to, I say that, no, I wasn't like athletic fit, but I was really fit compared to how much I usually am. 2017, I managed to lose a lot of weight as well. I mean, right now, like as I'm speaking right now, I'm at probably my worst. Even though I don't feel like it, um, I am. I'm not so great right now, but I always have to praise sports champions just because, at least for me, it was a really good contributor, because it wasn't just exercise, because it was gaming, and I actually, like, I felt motivated. Like there were some challenges, like with the tennis, it would be like you have to beat this um like this robot guy, but you have to win. It was like this really convoluted like competition. It was like best of three, and then best of nine, and best of, like a set was three, and then you had to beat like so many sets, and then you'd have to win so many of that or whatever. And so it took a long time, and I wasn't really able to do it. But I keep playing, and I was interested. Like I was having fun playing it. I wasn't just exercising for exercising's sake. I was enjoying it, and I really, I really hold it in high regards for that purpose. Like, how good is the game? Like, compared to all games that I've played and liked, it's alright. It's not brilliant, it's fine. But for that particular thing, it was really good. So I put Sports Champions with an S, in high regards. Anyway, 12 issues for $18. Subscribe today. PlayStation reviews. Oh, look. It's Dark Picture with a guy with a gun of sorts. I mean, I know that's Dead Space, but I've got to keep the joke going. Mass Effect 2, Gran Turismo 5. The legendary racer just missed our deadline last month, but that's a mere pit stop on the race of life. Ah! Little Big Planet 2. If only the Sackboy existed in the real world, we would program him to do our chores, then spend the rest of our free time playing this game. Okay, but that's just like, what you're describing there is like machines, like dishwashers and all that. You don't need to make Sackboy for that. Anyway, if it's one, it's raw sewage. Apparently feces can be pressed on a disc. And yeah. Anyway, let's see these reviews. Oh, Dead Space 2. Now, look at this. Did you know that Dead Space 2 comes with a game within the game? That's right. Former Wii exclusive Dead Space Extraction, a real shooter that lets players aim and shoot using the Move controller, is included at no extra charge. I did say that the motion controls are best for when it's like something directly tied to the action itself, and I put shooting as part of that. So if you've got like Time Crisis, playing that with the gun, what's it called? Like a light gun, as it's called, like light gun games, that's fine. Format PS3 publisher Electronic Arts Dev Visceral Games, price $59.99. It's like Bioshock in space with more gore and less Ayn Rand. Well, oh, and they rate it 9. Oh, that's below amazing. Frightline Dead Space 2's rank on the scare scale. So, not quite as scary as the first. Scarier than Bioshock. I didn't think Bioshock was meant to be scary. And Silent Hill 2 is the scariest. Some questions like, what triggered the outbreak? I never answered. Oh well. Complete control in zero gravity is unlike anything we've played before. complete control. Again, that's a statement that doesn't mean anything. Dead Space 2 surpasses the original in every capacity. It just feels unfair. In many ways, the game has traded tension for intensity. Space 2 is still plenty scary, but it's more in your face and panic-inducing variety than the first game's sense of constant tension and dread. That would sort of make sense because tension and dread is more, I suppose, it's more, quote, hardcore and less marketable to the masses, where, obviously they're a big hit, so they're like, oh, let's expand our audience, make it even bigger. At a cool 10 to 12 hours, the campaign is reasonably substantial, but Space 2 also comes equipped with a creative multiplayer effort. Oh, yes, when adding multiplayer things was a big issue. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Oh, Mass Effect 2. And no, 10. This game is perfect. Score poll. Final Fantasy 13, 10. Oh, that's interesting. Fallout New Vegas 8. Dragon Age Origins 9. Kill the bad aliens at 61% of the time. We have five friends, memorable allies from the original Mass Effect. Isn't this giving stuff away? Like, I don't know how much of this is spoilers. Fine-tuning has transformed the gameplay on every level, taking the best from both shooter and RPG genres to create a masterpiece of game design, all set against the backdrop of a gripping science fiction story on par with some of our favourite novels. That's a thing that I think gets overly praised when people say, like, oh, it's got part of this thing, it's also part of this other thing, so it's like the best of both. Oh, it combined the strength of this thing with the power of this other thing. It's like the coolest fiction novel we've ever played, man. You can hit L2 or R2 to freeze the action and bring up a wheel with the guns or powers for Shepard and his teammates assessing the battlefield and forming a plan to attack. Attacking is the way to go. Right, oh, Little Big Planet 2, that's a scary rabbit. That's a big-eyed bun there. Oh look, I've got a UK style plug. What is Sackboy holding there? Is that a PSP? I think so. Oh, it was on the PSP, wasn't it? Little Big Planet. Yeah. Oh, this is PS3. I don't think it was on PSP. Little Big Planet 2 then is more like high school. There's less hand-holding and tons more complicated stuff to learn, which can seem intimidating and even overwhelming at first. However, with experimentation and perseverance, it's possible to create things that the first LBP could only hint at. It's a big step forward for the franchise. So which Little Big Planet game was it where people made like their own versions of, like, Bejeweled and what was the other one? There was Bejeweled, Plants vs Zombies, and those wee little mini games. I know 3 was the one that introduced the new characters. Remember E3 they had was it Switch and Oddjob. There was one guy. There was the guy who could change size, big and small. There was the one that could fly. And then I think Oddjob was like the dog one that could run fast. That was interesting. The Sack World is as cute and endearing as ever, but the science behind it has grown much more powerful and sophisticated. It's possible to create things like... Yeah, I've just read that. This, like the previous LBP, mostly involves a lot of jumping and item collecting, along with frequent environmental puzzles, run-ins with monsters and other lethal hazards. I remember, as well, Little Big Planet, which was quite interesting, was like the goal of... If you play multiplayer, the goal of the team was to get to the end of the level. But when you did get to the end of the level, it would announce a winner based on how many points each player had gotten. So it was still like competition based. Top-down level creation. Ah, yeah. Yeah, they did have different style like levels, didn't they? Okay. And this is more. It felt very floaty, and I know people say that the game feels floaty, but it was also, I don't know, everything was like fabricy. So, whereas like with say Mario Maker, everything's in like blocks. With Little Big Planet, it was all very like pixely. So you drew like a path to make an object. Robot friends. Our advice: start small and simple. Experiment and don't feel pressure to create a full level right off the bat. And above all, remember that all these new tools are there to serve the creative process, not direct it. Then there are the Sackbots. I don't remember the Sackbots. Another hugely significant addition. These semi-automaton robots can be resized, redecorated, and used as enemies, friends, background objects, piloted vehicles, or actors that carry out actions pre-recorded by player creations, including voice messages. I do remember you had enemies which were just sort of like objects that you could put a button on to destroy it. Anyway, the Little Big Planet 1 gets a 10, and then the Cracking Time, Ratchet & Clank gets 9, and Sly Cooper Collection gets 9. Half time was spent creating our very first level and tinkering with it until it was perfect. And what did they wait, this is a 10 as well. Seriously, a 10? Oh, it's so hard, it's so weird, isn't it, looking back at, like, when they're reviewing new games, it's so different to when they're, like, when you look back at old games and saying, what would I rank this now? Not necessarily because like the games get better or worse, or you feel like they do. More so you just, whilst they're like reviewing new games, it's very much a case of it's within the context of somewhat like there being like an air of excitement about it, I guess. Bigger, but not necessarily better for Gran Turismo 5. No other driving game communicates the intricate edge of adhesion dance as well as Gran Turismo 5. A Honda Fit attacking the corkscrew at Laguna Seca may not be as exhilarating as the Ferrari F40, but there is a subtle but tangible set of inputs required for each vehicle to navigate the turn at its maximum capacity. 5 of 1,031, the most ridiculous rides in GT5. So yeah, they're saying, oh, there's 1,000 cars. Five years in the making, GT5's compact with content, but still feels like a work in progress. Isn't this the game where there's like to get one of the trophies you have to just drive in circles for hours on end or something? This is how we roll. Hopping into the play seat was a revelation. Suddenly the steering wheel was all in the optimal position and the pedals were no longer slid away from us. The few niggles. Integrating the G27 shifter requires the purchase of an optional clamp, and the heady price tag had us wishing for a financing option. But there's no question as to the play seat's quality and robust construction. I don't remember this. That's like a racing game thing. But the rate at 8 and this the rate 9, the Logitech racing wheel. God, I remember the racing wheel. Oh look, $299.99. You've got to really be dedicated if you want to get into that. But that's very much like I remember getting those for like the PS1, and they were much more. I mean, I say that because I was a kid, but they seemed like you could just get a lot more. Anyway, this game, The rating is a 3. Splatterhouse. What type of game is it? I mean, it is dark and there's a lot of gore and all that. There's really nothing else to this game. The visuals are nominal. Really, like, okay, like, I would look at this and you say, oh, wouldn't you say the graphics of these are amazing? I'm like, no, it just looks like a mess. And I know I'm saying that in 2023, but even still, like, I don't find, like, new games that come out, I'm just not that bothered. Like, I wonder, if I got a PS5 and I got, like, a 4K TV, for example, I probably would, like, playing a game thinking, oh, wow, these graphics are so detailed. I probably would, because I got that with when I got my PS4, I thought about Infamous First Light. I probably would think that, but I just think, like, yeah, but it's very, like, that's just like a, whoa, look at the thing, and then that's it. Splatterhouse could have not been less fun if the game was shipped with razor-sharp edges. What's this game? There is a 7 Trinity, Souls of Zil, all. I don't even know what this is. It's like comfort food for famished RPG fanatics. Right. Even a pretty adoring cosplayer otaku could be forgiven for never have heard of Trinity, Souls of Zil, all. How are you meant to pronounce that? Although it's appeared on the PS1, PS2 and PSP in Japan, this is the first time Dynasty Warriors developer Omega Force's action RPG series has landed stateside. The game won't be familiar to most, but the button mashy gameplay should appeal to anyone who's looted and leveled his way through other action-focused JRPGs. In addition to hack and slash combat, the fantasy-themed narrative, complete with an evil king hell-bent on conquering, well, everything should be second nature to gamers who've ever saved a kingdom with a big blade and stuffed sack of magic spells. That doesn't tell me anything. The wizard can freeze a pack of dire wolves, then turn things over to the big warrior dude for a little fist-fueling ice breaking. Ah, get it? Do you get it? Anyway, what's this? The rate 2 over here. This must be a bad thing. Kung Fu Live. So look, there's the PSN store icon. The PSI-centric side-scroller has interesting ambitions and physically club. Oh, do you have to use the PSI for this? Is it motion controlled? Without the perfect lighting and clothing, punches and kicks go undetected or misinterpreted. Yeah, of course they do. Because it's a PSI game. Like the iToy on the PS2 was fine. Like when you played iToy 3, you had to move like your arms around, and like the iToy on PS2, you the game detected movement, so like you'd move yourself and it would pick up on movement. And then I think by iToy Play 3 or the Sega Superstars one, you could do things where you could have it detect your position. So you would sort of like take a picture of half of the screen, then you take a picture of the other half of the screen, and then whatever was doing there counted as you, and that's what it based things off. So it wasn't like movement. Look at some of these games. Beat Sketcher, never heard of it. Sketching over reflected PSI image with or without colouring book on screen overlay. It's a very clever idea that delivers occasionally bouts of amusement, but any winning moments are mostly self-made. And they rate that 6. Right. Going to ignore that one there. Auditorium HD. Consider Auditorium HD an artsy palette cleanser for those quiet moments between gore-splattering shredfest. The music puzzler involves manipulating and bending light beams into audio containers until soothing orchestral symphonies are revealed. The task initially seems simplistic, but the complexity and challenge ramps up as the game's progress. This version offers all 72 levels from the original PC indie titles and 78 all new levels. Oh yeah, Odd Time HD. Yeah, of course, I forgot. I played that. I thought it was interesting, but I didn't really like it. It was just awkward. Spelunker HD. Well, they don't like it. Bad game design is bad game design. There's no reason to leave it intact in a remake. Nailed. Pac-Man Championship Edition. They like that a lot. Nailed. There's no genre ground broken here, but Nailed is fast fun for fans of ridiculous racing. Just like a racing game. And then you've got World's Battleground. So this is a 2D one. A Battle Islands. Opposing worm armies deploy along a fully destructible landscape, maneuvering and firing off outlandish weaponry in hopes of obliterating enemy troops. While the familiar array of armaments doesn't book the series' bizarre status quo, the awesome new weapon factory can concoct even crazier combinations, engaging local and multiplayer on match options that also bolster solid solo modes. Enslaved. This genre was download of the month. So is this like DLC? But like Enslaved was a game where it was just like, so many games at this time, it was like the controls felt so off. Just so many games felt like that. Oh, this is very blue. Inception. Oh, is this films? Oh, Blu-rays. Inception. Wham. Yo, dog. I heard you like reviews. Always treats every situation like another day at the office. He's brilliant here, and the acrobatic styles will hopefully land him a superhero role any day now. There's Leonardo DiCaprio and Kronos, and he's is he licking blood off the floor? Is that like a vampire? The original take on the vampire mythos, it's easy to see the burgeoning roots of the horror fantasy family and child endangerment elements that Del Toro uses to such good effect in his later work. Far from a comic book special effects extravaganza, Kronos is like Del Toro's other Spanish-language films, darker, moodier, and more methodical than his amazingly fun US endeavours. And they like that, put that as an 8. So they've got The Expendables, Avatar, The Tournament, and Devil. Avatar, didn't that turn out to be like the highest... It's like the most expensive film made or something? I don't know. It broke some sort of record. The film is still saddled with a mediocre script, one-dimensional characters, and ponderous sense of morality. Yeah, I remember it was huge. Want that. Must have stuff for the latest PlayStation people. We're almost at the end of this now. Look at these. Expand Universal 3D glasses. Oh yeah, remember when 3D TVs were big? That was this era, wasn't it? It's like instead of blue... I mean, they definitely improved it. So instead of like blue and red, they just made everything look blue and red. They have like 2 different shades of like grey. So the slight tints, it does give the proper illusion rather than just making everything look purple, I guess. Look, is that a Hoover? The company's smallest non-handled vac, the Dyson City, weighs a paltry £12. With its small frame resides a surprising amount of powerful suck, and the superb design means it will prove pretty right next to the PS3 Slim from Dyson. So, like, they've got to tie it into games somehow. Got to somehow tie it into PlayStation. So, like, oh yeah, we're selling a Hoover, and by the way, it would look alright to have it next to a PS3. That would be alright. Like headphones, like yeah, I can understand that. EXP, video game art and culture. Again, I can understand that. Jawbone Jambox. Is that, yeah, Bluetooth speaker. So yeah, I can understand that. But what's a Hoover got to do with any of it? Or should I say a vacuum cleaner? And we have comics. Again, yeah, that makes sense. Mail. Oh. It's taken a while to get there, but we've reached one of my favourite features. The customer reader feedback. X, what? I'm new to PlayStation, the official magazine, and PlayStation in general, but something I immediately noticed when I read your magazine is the fact that you guys mention competing platforms and companies, whereas other exclusive magazines hold their tongue about the other systems, as if uttering their name would send them to hell. I really expect that. We don't fear hell, Liam. We've been to New Jersey. They've always got to have like a funny response. A little note you put below of issue 38, which one was this? 42. Was very, very true. Let's just ask this question. Is there a phobia for fear of clowns? Because I'll never watch the movie again. It's called coulrophobia, and it's devastating illness affecting 83% of the PTOM staff and 50% of the insane clown posse. We plan to march to Burritoville for the cure. Fun fact, I once worked somewhere where they had a security guard that was scared of clowns, and he was there during Halloween. That didn't really work out, does it? The Art of Giving article, issue 40, just send Christian Chi to me as my present. Oh, now just send Christian Chi to me as my present. Oh, I'll be happy. Oh, were you doing some objectification there? Sorry, Rob. Elemental, false known as Christian Chi, much like the wind and the McRib, is no one's property to be battered or sold. There's no crisis. I just like to start by saying I like the new direction you're taking with the magazine. Some issues are hard to digest at times, but I mean in a good way. Anyway, I'm writing you guys talk about my Dino Crisis experience. For a few months ago, I saw Crisis for sale on PSN, and since I own the original disc, I figured I'd reminisce by playing it again. And I quickly realised why I still have the old disc. Capcom sure had a way with suspense back in the 90s. I grew up with love for dinosaurs, and being scared shitless. What I want is a total remake of Dino Crisis. I don't even care if Capcom uses Resident Evil 5's setup, just to be able to step back into Regina's boots in the next gen. Dino Crisis 3 for the Xbox was hugely terrible, even though it features dinosaurs in space. So, you know, dinosaurs in space, you'd expect it to be amazing. Overall, I like it with the exception of the way you score your games. The old system of stars over numbers is just the best way to judge games. Why did you change it? Gremlins. Right. Oh, okay then. But why does stars over a number? Like, it's still just a ranking, isn't it? It's like amount of stars is still a number. I'm pretty sure Parasite Eve 2 was on the original PlayStation, not PS2. Yes, they made an error there. I'm a huge fan of online shooters and a real competitive gamer, so when my best friend laughed at me because I was 2 prestiges below him in Modern Warfare 2, I made it my mission to destroy his rep. I ended up outranking him by 5 prestiges, and then our friendship has been up and down since. With the release of Black Ops, I no longer care about my rank, but he is very cautious about playing with me because of our previous engagements in Modern Warfare 2. Never let competition get in the way of friendship, T. Elvis, and never let a vampire into your home. He'll eat all the frozen burritos. Not even say thanks. Anyway, let's look at this Ask Greg. Right. First thing I saw when I got the new PTOM issue 40 was Greg wearing a chain with a sack on it. Where can I get this piece of epic piece of Little Big Planet? Little Big Bling. Not to give away the secrets of prop master Roger B. Churchill, the B, of course, is for bling. I came up with the idea, but the Sackboy chain shown in issue number 40 is a holiday gift guide with a Little Big Planet action figure made by good old folks at Mezco Toys. In issue 39, we misstated the price of the Native Union's Moshi Moshi Retro headset as $300. The actual price is $59.99. We blamed our faulty abacus, which needs a few batteries, so not the gremlins that time. All the other stuff distracts P2M. So Civilization 5, Charity, the iPad does everything. Yeah, and Orcs Bad Blood, is that a book? Yeah. It's like stuff that the staff likes. PSN, the best games. Joe Danger, Wipeout HD. I had that. Costume Quest, I had that. Flower. Oh, for goodness sake. Flower was awful. I mean, I know they're ranking these all 9 here, but Flower was so dull. It was just, you control the wind and you blow petals through a field. No. The 4th entry in the Pickle Drunk series is easily the best. Pickle Drunk Shooter, yeah, that's a decent game. Again, I wouldn't put these really high. Oh, Magic Jewels of the Planeswalkers. Look at the way they're laying out all these mountains. Just in a straight line. Go head to head against Chandra, the Pyromancer, and her challenging wizard successors in this Taste of Magic card battling geekery. Use preset decks to punish dark minions. Oh, Vanquish, Apache. Best free stuff. A Lara Croft character pack. MotoGP. Oh, let's go up here. Salt. PSN video delivery service. What we're watching on PS3 this month. Oh yeah, they sold films, didn't they? For PSN. I remember that. I mean, maybe they still do. I don't know, but I remember that being like a thing that they did. Wasn't there a program? Was it Heroes? Oh, no, it might not have been Heroes. I think there was a program that they released the first episode for free or something. Like when they first made the PSN video thing, like a real thing. I don't know. Oh, look at that. They've got an Xbox and a Wii. Anyway, celebrity cameos, because it's just not what's up Hollywood legend and talented deprived D-listers. Dennis Hopper, Samuel L. Jackson, Liam Neeson. Yeah, see, I kind of remember that character. I kind of remember his voice. I'm thinking, yeah, that does sound like Liam Neeson. Brian Cox. Oh, they made a joke about him on is that Brian Cox, the scientist guy? I was going to say Brian Cox, the science guy, but that's Bill Nye, the science guy. Is like a brand thing. No, Brian Cox. I remember on PlayStation Access, they had one of the characters they had was Brian Cox. Like, but you see, Rob, when a planet enters a solar system, blah blah blah, and that was an ongoing joke. Two Worlds 2. Oh, that's a game to give me memories. Gamefly. Oh, renting games. Take over and mind control the battle. Mindjack. And a good thing to end on, because it's quite dark and they have guns. So just sort of round out the theme of this. So yeah, that's the end of this one. I've got to say, it was a bit of an experiment to go to 2011, and I've got to say, I didn't particularly enjoy this one as much. I find earlier ones, there's enough room for me to at least be somewhat interested in the games, even if I'm just laughing at some of the things they're saying. But whereas with this, a lot of it was just dark and murky shooters, and I'm just not interested. I don't even think there's nothing really funny to bring up. I mean, I try to do that joke of oh look, it's dark and they've got guns, and that was me being sarcastic. But genuinely, it was because I found it very boring. So I think I'm going to try and... I mean, this was a bit of an experiment. See, like, oh, what if I go up to 2011? But I think, at least for a while, I'm going to try and stay clear of this era. I'm going to try and stay no higher than the 2000s. But maybe there's something new, like maybe like a Nintendo thing from later years, or maybe something from the late 2010s, if any of those will come up. Maybe they're a bit too new for them to be on the Internet Archive. Maybe. But yeah. This is just the era of video games where I just thought everything looked dull. And this magazine was just sort of like proved that, I guess. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.